On this episode of the Exactly How podcast and YouTube show, we uncover exactly how to stand out in a crowded market to attract more private money. See you guys soon.
You're listening to the Exactly How podcast, where you'll hear the underground, closely guarded wealth building secrets of successful people around the globe. Discover exactly how to improve your mental, physical, and financial health. Feel better, make more money, live, give, and prosper in today's exciting, fast-paced world filled with opportunity for those who know exactly how.
Welcome to the Exactly How podcast and YouTube show, brought to you by Connected Investors. Now, during this episode, you'll discover exactly how to raise private capital. Now, for those of you who are new, my name is Sean Young, today's host and proud member of the Connected Investors community. Now, before I introduce you to our incredible guest speaker today, I want to make a request that if at any point in the show you like what you're hearing, please give us a thumbs up, to subscribe to the show so that you never miss an episode. And make sure to look into the description of this episode, as we've packed it with thousands of dollars in free resources. Today, we have the privilege to learn from someone who started out as a teacher, but all that changed when he made his first deal in real estate. Now, I would describe our next guest as innovative. Please welcome Max Keller. Max, thanks for being a guest on today's show.
Awesome. Hey, I'm excited. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Now, Max, before we get started, can you tell the audience a little bit about where you're from and, what market you're in, and just a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Yeah. So I live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, from Texas originally. And, my background's pretty simple. I, worked in corporate finance for a little while when I got out of college, was a math teacher at an inner city school and a football, basketball, and track coach for 7 years and loved it. Loved working with the kids, loved helping. But, like a lot of people out there, I just wanted a little bit more. I wanted to make a little more income. The fulfillment was there for sure. Like I loved every day of it. But I want to make a little more money. So I started looking around at some opportunities, found real estate. My goal was just kind of to maybe get like 1 or 2 rentals a year, figure out how to do that. And so by the time I retired from teaching, I'd have a nice nest egg, some of them be paid off, things like that. Because I knew that my salary was pretty capped, where I was, being a teacher. And like I said, I wanted to do more. And, like a lot of folks, the real estate bug just kind of bit me, and got a local mentor, started wholesaling, made 16 grand on my first deal, then did a fix and flip, a seller finance, and then, quit my job and just, went for it. And, really, when I joined, I've been full-time now for 5 years. Okay. When I started, it was easier to find deals, and I was noticing every year, that was changing. And so for me and just, my example and experience, I think the time was around maybe 2017 or so. Things were going okay. I mean, I was on track to flip, 30 to 40 deals that year. I had participated in almost 100, transactions up to that point. But I really felt like, I was only as good as my next deal. And I needed a lot of leads in order to get my deals. And, if I didn't have leads, I basically didn't have a business. And so, I tried everything. I mean, I was using, different websites. I was using bandit signs, yellow letters, every list I could get my hand on, cold calling, all the different tax, delinquents, all the lists I could, and everything was like working. I'm not complaining, but I was just noticing that it wasn't predictable. And I felt like I was wasting a lot of money, and I was just sort of chasing people down. And, the problem in my market is these folks I was sending stuff to, they were getting the same message from everybody, every wholesaler, every investor, in my market. Competition was going up. There was more people like hedge funds that were paying more in the market, and, a lot more than I wanted to pay. And so I didn't go down like the overpaying route being a math teacher. I know that wasn't a way to build a business, but it was, I don't know, just for me, it started to feel like a grind. And the whole reason I got into real estate was to escape the grind. So what I did, and this is maybe somebody who's listening, this will help them, I don't know, is I made a list of all the deals that I had done up to that point. And I thought about what's important to me. Not what, friends or family is important to them, not what, people in my mastermind, what's important to them, but just what was important for me. And for me, I wanted deals that had three qualities. I wanted deals that made good profit. When I reached out to the seller, there was minimal resistance to my offer. They saw me as the consultant that was really like guiding them along the path. And then lastly, I wanted to have fun. I missed having so much fun being a math teacher. And so the bad news was most of my deals, when I did that exercise, they didn't meet the criteria for all three. But the good news was there was a silver lining, is that the ones that did, there was a very, very obvious pattern. And this pattern helped me identify my first niche for motivated sellers. And it was, the pattern was senior homeowners. So I was noticing that the seniors, their home, they weren't on a lot of the typical lists. They weren't behind on their mortgage. They had their house paid off. Sometimes their house didn't even have a lot of physical distress. It actually, was in great shape. It just needed cosmetic updates. Another thing I noticed was, and this is kind of what changed my whole marketing, was finding this niche. Because what I did is I found this niche, and then because of this niche, I found a different way to market my real estate business for money and for deals. And so just to kind of close out on the niche, I found this niche and they were amazing. And I was noticing that, the folks, they were taking my offer, even though they were getting bigger offers from other people. I was helping them not just figure out what to do with their house, but what to do, how to move into a different senior housing, facility. All these questions that they had, I introduced them to probate attorneys and CPAs. And, so I wanted to get more of them, and I wanted to figure out why they picked me. And this was like the big light bulb moment. I was a little nervous when I did it, but I called a previous seller who I knew had a higher offer with somebody else, but they sold the house to me. And it was actually the son that I called, and I said, hey, do you remember me, Max, Save Your Home Buyers? And he's like, yeah, I remember you. I said, hey, weird question, but when we did our deal together, you had told me that you had a higher offer. He's like, yeah, we did. I'm like, how much was it? And they're like, 10 grand more. Okay. And I'm like, why did you choose me? Like, I'm glad you did, but why? And he said, the reason is because, we trusted you. You didn't, you didn't try to just, you cared about us and where, my parents moved to, and you weren't just trying to like hurry up and get the contract signed. So, the educating them along the way made the difference. It was a $10,000 difference. And so what happened was, I just realized that it was really all about trust, and I wanted to establish more of that. The downside was, I'm in these folks' living rooms for like 3 or 4 hours, and I'm explaining them all their options, and it takes a long time to do that. It's hard to scale. And so where I got my big idea was I didn't come up with it. One of my sellers did. I was over at one of my motivated sellers' house, and, I was closing the deal and getting all the contracts signed. And it was actually the daughter of the motivated seller said, you've helped our family out a ton. You should write a book about all the stuff you know. And I was like, no, I don't think so. I'm a house buyer. I was a math teacher. I wasn't an English teacher. I think you got me confused with somebody else. And, but then I thought about it and I was like, that's actually a pretty good idea. I could pivot in my market. I was already at this point known as the guy who knew a lot about senior housing, but I could be the guy who wrote the book on senior housing. So what I did is I just wrote down all the questions that I was getting asked in these living rooms. And I did, I had pros and cons, and I answered the question and I put it in a format, and it took a lot of time. I mean, it took a lot more time than if I had known how long it was going to take, I probably wouldn't have done it, but I got it done. And that was my first book, Home to Home, the Step-by-Step Senior Housing Guide. And it's a how-to book for my ideal prospect. And I printed out 100 copies and I started giving it out, and it became my new ultimate, business card. And I was getting referrals, and I was getting asked to speak at places I'd never been asked before. And I was seen almost as like a celebrity in the eyes of my prospects. I was going
and an authority as well, because you're an author now.
Yeah, it's huge. So then I was like, well, okay, that's cool for deals, but I need to get more money, because at the time I was still using hard money to fund my deals. And I was like, well, okay, let's think about this. I was in some different groups and masterminds for private lenders. And I'm like, okay, well, really, okay, the financial situation of my private lenders is a lot different than my motivated sellers, but there's a lot of things that are the same. And what I was noticing is that the folks I was reaching out to, I don't know, like for me, it felt a little awkward asking for money. And I felt like, I was back to interviewing, pitching my deal. And it felt weird and uncomfortable to me. So I was like, well, why don't I just do the same thing that I've been doing with the motivated sellers, create a how-to book, give it to them, and then let them, see me as, like you said, the authority, the celebrity, and just, share and attract. And so what I didn't know is one of my business partners now was doing the same thing with a how-to book. And so he joined our company. We put together some licensed content and we started using that. So now instead of giving out a business card or a sales pitch, we started giving out our book and started raising money with that. It's all the questions that private lenders, have. And now, we have a company and we license this out and other people plug into it. But it was just a really, really different approach. I didn't see anybody else doing it and I wanted to do something different. And so it's been working for me and for everybody on our team and our students, whether they're trying to get more deals or they're trying to get more dollars. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. And Max, I mean, I really like a lot of things that you just said here in this, introduction, which is basically, you started out as a teacher, which you had a passion for doing that, but it just wasn't there for you financially. Right. So guys out there, guys and gals who are out there listening, I mean, if you have a passion for something, know that you can still have a passion for that, but still do something that's for the betterment of your financial future and enrichment as well, that might not be attainable in the field that you have the passion for. So I really like how you said that, and you really said, hey, I had a passion for that. So I wanted to figure out how I could still teach somehow or give back and look at it. I mean, you're an author now. You're an authority in these areas. You're the celebrity, just like you said. So I mean, I love that. I love that. So Max, now before we dive into exactly how to raise private capital, you contribute a lot of your success to your work ethic that you gained from previous teaching jobs. What grade did you teach? And what do you think has played such a big role in your success?
Oh yeah, great question. Yeah, teaching has been the best. It's been the absolute highlight of my life. I mean, I've gotten to do things in real estate, getting the Innovator of the Year award last year and getting to share a stage with Robert Kiyosaki. That was great. I mean, there's been a million things, but teaching it changed my whole life. And there's two parts of it. One was when I was going through business school and I was, working in different corporate finance jobs, I really only cared about myself, or it was very tit for tat, so there's three kinds of people. There's takers, they'll take from you, they don't care about you. There's matchers, I'll do this for you if you do this for me. And then there's givers. And so I may have thought I was a giver, but I wasn't. And I was really just all about making me money. And, what I didn't mention earlier is that this wasn't my first time to start a business. I started a business in 2008 and when I was 28, and I thought I knew everything. I wasn't reading. I didn't have discipline, and it failed. And I mean, obviously the economy in 2008, it wasn't a great time to start a financial recruiting company, but I don't make excuses anymore. Back then I did. And so I didn't think that I would have another opportunity to really start a business. And I thought that, I love working with kids. And so I just thought this would be the perfect place. So, when you get that, this world is just all about opportunities. And so when I took that next opportunity, it was huge. But teaching taught me how to give, and the true joy, like nothing else, of just giving and helping people. And I would work with these kids. I taught 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. And some of the kids were accelerated and some of the kids were struggling. Mm-hmm. And so I got to see, the power of consistency, because every day we'd put in work, we put in effort. And some of the kids, they could pass their end of year test the second day of school. They're so smart, right? Wow. And they just get it super quick. Some of them, it took to the last hour of the last day. But, I had about 15, 20 bells a day that, told me what to do all day. So I learned the power of staying on a schedule and being consistent, and just having more discipline. So then when I started the real estate business, I was so much more successful because I was just naturally felt called spiritually and just in my heart to help and give. And And when you do that, people like that.
Absolutely.
People don't like sales presentations. They like people who are just trying to help them. And people like folks that they can trust. And I don't really know the secret to building that. Just be trustworthy, I guess. And then let people figure it out for themselves. But yeah, teaching changed my whole life. And, Ed Milet is a guy that I follow. I don't know if you like him, but he talked about his first 2 years starting out. He worked, kind of had a similar situation. He worked at a kind of like a boys camp and was helping these kids. And it really just opened his world up for him. Some people, like you, in the military, learn a lot of great things there. So I tell people, I've never been in the military. I loved everybody in the armed forces. I have a lot of family members that serve. But I tell people that for me, teaching felt like being in the military because I was still coachable. You have to be coachable. If you already know everything, this episode ain't going to help you. All the other episodes aren't going to help. But if you're coachable and you get plugged into a structure or a system that can show you step by step and you follow the steps, amazing things can happen. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely, Max. It absolutely 100% answers my question. And I mean, guys, are you picking up these golden nuggets that Max is laying out for you guys? I mean, this is some great stuff, guys. Now, what makes the Exactly How Financial Freedom podcast and YouTube show unique is that each and every show comes with a detailed action plan. So we create a blueprint on how to implement exactly what we're covering here today. All you actually have to do is go visit connectedinvestors.com/free to get the key takeaways, the resources, and the free gifts that Max has generously allowed us to offer you guys today. Plus, you're going to get to see our free training right now. All you have to do is text the word exactly to 910-600-0630 to see for yourself. Now, you can find properties in any town for pennies on the dollar with this software that I personally use each and every day. Now, as nearly 1 million people know, Connected Investors is a social network of real estate investors and a marketplace of investment properties. In this description of this video, I included a link to this episode's forum discussion. Okay, Max, now let's dive into the steps to raising private capital.
Sure.
Now before the show, we broke it down into 3 steps. Well, you actually broke it down into 3 steps. And that first step was attracting the right private lenders. Can you dive into that a little bit more for us, Max?
Sure. So there's kind of 2 methods, I feel like in sales from my own experience. One is it's the hunter and the trapper. So a hunter is somebody that goes and chases people down. They try, it's sort of like going deep sea fishing and spending like 3 hours, getting a big fish on the boat. You can do that. People do it all the time. It's just really hard. And what I found is that if I feel like I'm having to sell people into my program, I feel like I'm selling them forever. So I don't like that method. It just doesn't work for me. What I like is I call share and attract. So that's what we do with our education. We share it with people. We give it out, answers to their question. We let people know what we're doing. We make ourselves, aware in the mindset, the mind share of others. And then we attract the people to us that are interested. So it's just, especially with raising money, I found my own example. I don't want to work with people that are unsure or that aren't really bought in or all in. I don't want to work with their money to fund my deals. So, but if I put, the information out there, to 100 people, and then, 5 or 6 are like raising their hand, like, man, I really want to take part in that. That's huge. So how I do that is I define exactly what it is that I'm looking for and what it is that I do. And then 2 is I put myself out there, because as business owners, if people don't know you exist, then, you're going to be out of business. You have to get people to know that you exist and, do business with you. So, but the first step is attraction. And it's just, like I said, an approach that's been working, well for me.
Awesome. Now, step 2 is having a program in place with checklists.
Right. So, what we do with our students and what we have for ourselves, if somebody's using some of our private, lending content to start their own program, whatever it is, however you start a program, not just, hey, do you want to fund my deal? Now, a program can be a checklist. It doesn't have to be, really, really elaborate, but defining, important questions like, Well, what's the minimum that you'll take from somebody, right? How long do you need to know them? You know, how much experience do they have? What do they need to know? You know, what the expectations are. Just, you know, a checklist or a program that I'm sure that, you know, you plug people into also is a really, really important part of the blueprint, because it's helped me, you know, let people know, okay, this is step one, this is step two, this is step three. Because some of the folks that I work with, you know, they've been private lending for a long time. They work with other investors too, but some of them don't. You know, I was the first one, and, you know, the earlier people are in their private lending journey, usually the, you know, better rates they're willing to take, right? As they get more experience, you know, they just, you know, maybe are looking for more. And so, so I've gotten a lot of value from being able to compress the yield on my private, you know, lending and getting, you know, the best rates possible by putting out a structured program that attracts people that are qualified, but not necessarily so seasoned that they could open their own hard money, you know, business, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I mean, this is great stuff, Max. You know, a lot of our viewers out there are always asking, you know, how can I get funding? How can I get lending? You know, what should I get private lending? Should I get a hard money lender? You know, so this is great stuff for our listeners. So that brings us into step 3, which is retaining.
Yeah.
Yeah. So dive into that a little for us.
Yeah. So, you know, I think of really the private lender network. There's a lot of work on the front end to attract and share and show people the program. But what's great about private lenders, what I love about them, we fund myself and my business partner fund all of our deals exclusively through private money. Now, it wasn't always like that, but, you know, it took steps, right? And so, and I haven't been doing this that long, you know, 5 years full time, you know, at the start when this airs. So it's like, what's great about this, I've bought homes from like 2 homes from the same seller or the same family, but it doesn't happen a lot. Okay. But with the private lending, it's totally different. You know, if you've done a good job and you give the money back to your lender, the first thing they're going to want to say is, well, great, put it back out, right? Because they don't want.
Can we do it again?
Right, let's do it again. Because if it's not out, it's not, you know, it's not making money. So there's an incredible opportunity to keep people and work with people. I have private lenders that I've worked with since I started. And you know, what's cool about that repeat business is you really get to know them. You get to know their family. You get to know the relationship, and it just keeps building. And the longer a good relationship goes, you know, the better it is. The more responsive they are, you know, usually the increased flexibility. And the reason is because it goes back to everything. It's trust. Marketing, your program with your money lender, it's all about trust. And one kind of side note that I would say about retaining, it really goes back to the beginning. If people are asking, should I do hard money or private money? This is just from my own experience. I'm actually glad that I did hard money to start. I'm glad that I used a little bit of, you know, community credit union money to start, because, you know, they're professionals and they know how to qualify these deals. And so if my deal didn't qualify, they did. But if they didn't, they would tell me. One of the risks that, you know, we've seen new people kind of run into, I'm just fortunate to avoid it, is they go to the hard money lender or the community credit union and they don't qualify the deal. So they go to the private money lender or their friends and family, or they borrow the money from, you know, their cousin. And it's like, well, wait a second. Did it not qualify because of what's going on in the market? Or did it not qualify because it's not a good deal? And if it's not a good deal and you go to a private money lender that's trusting you and they're not experienced and they don't know how to vet a deal and they don't understand all of that, then you're not putting the odds in their favor. There's risk in any transaction, but we want to do everything we can in our program, step 2, to put the odds in our lender's favor. So if something goes wrong or sideways, they're as protected as possible. And going to somebody new when you have a deal that doesn't qualify is not a good way to do that. So while you're learning, you know, just that's something that I was fortunate to avoid. I've heard, you know, horror stories from other people where it ruined a family relationship. And they weren't honestly trying to do anything wrong. They just were new and they didn't know. I mean, in my own experience, you know, I said my first deal I wholesale for 16 grand. Well, I didn't tell you that my second deal, I kind of got them on the same week. I had to release the contract because I bought it too high and, you know, I couldn't find a cash buyer, and I was new. And I didn't, you know, I cost that person a couple of weeks. I didn't really do any damage. They got to keep the option fee. So, you know, but that happens to everybody, no matter how hard you try. But there's a big difference between releasing a contract and them finding somebody else to buy their home, or, somebody not getting, their money back or their interest. So just be real careful with that. We don't ever want to overpromise. And that's a real important part of, when you build out your program to consider.
Great points to make, Max. And let me ask you, are your lenders mainly, are they, or do you pitch for your lenders to do local type of projects, or are they open to do, deals that are all across the country?
I'm not exactly sure because all of our stuff is local. Okay. So I don't know. I was doing some stuff in another state and they were okay with that. One of the things that I found is if the relationship is about trust, which it is for our lenders, they trust me. So I could probably just propose a good deal anywhere and they would, be.
If you've been making the money, right?
There's very minimal resistance. Everybody has their own philosophy. For me, I don't like to relend my private money, my private lender's money. It's just for the deals that me and my partner are participating in. But, everybody has different approaches and that's totally fine. I just like to have as much control as possible in the outcome because, I'm putting my name and the trust on the line. And so I want to have as much control as I can of the deal to, get a good outcome.
Great. Understood. Great stuff, Max. Now, guys out there listening and viewing, as a reminder, if at any point in this show you like what you're hearing, which you should be today, please give us a thumbs up to subscribe to this show so that you never miss an episode. Your engagement is what drives us to keep doing this for the community for free. Now, Max, what do you think your life would be like if you never started a career in real estate and you were still working as a teacher?
Amazing. So amazing. You just can't imagine what it's like. It's like every day was like heaven on earth. It's the weirdest thing. I literally would be sometimes I'd feel like I was the only person in the teacher's lounge that wasn't complaining. And I'm the only one who left. It just makes no sense. So It would be amazing. It'd be a different kind of amazing. I know that we wouldn't have been my wife wouldn't be able to stay home with our kids. We wouldn't have been able to move into this great house. Here I'm looking around and, my neighbors before were, plumbers and mechanics, which are great, Sure. So are my family members. But now my neighbor is like a CEO of a company and an orthopedic surgeon. So that's really different. If I stayed a teacher, that wouldn't have happened. Indeed. We did learn quickly when the income increased, dramatically. Real estate investing, if you do it right, can be a great lucrative business. It's been that case for me. But it does not, didn't make me happy on its own. A lot of the things that make me happy are the things that made me happy when I didn't have a lot of money. But it does make things, money has solved all of our money problems, for sure. And it's allowed to, it's different ways to fulfill. It's also created like a bigger platform. So before, I had a great impact with, my 120 students or, the 60 kids on, my football team or the 15 kids on my basketball team or my track athletes. And so, I was making an impact, but now through, all of the books that I've given out that are educating motivated sellers so they don't get hooked up with somebody shady, all of the licensed content that we've given out to private lenders so that they don't make the wrong move and they're educated. And then our students, we have about 70 that are local experts and they distribute our licensed content, and we create like a book for them. So if you add it up, it's like tens of thousands of books. And so the impact has been a lot bigger. And so I feel very blessed, and I'm just very grateful for, this opportunity to serve this way. And it feels great, but teaching is great too. And I still feel like a teacher. When I get on my weekly calls with my members, I teach them. We have a great mastermind community and everybody on there is using the licensed book content. We talk about, what's working, what's not. We're in different areas and I run that group. And so I get to teach them, stuff. Tomorrow, I'm getting the stuff together for our Thursday call and I'm going to teach them how to, promote their book online. And some of these folks are, they don't understand the online marketing world. They've been doing just, the direct mail and relationships, but they want to scale it up. So it's been cool to learn these new skill sets, apply them in my business, and then teach them to my students and they get, gains. So, but teaching rules.
That is awesome. I'm looking forward to trying out some of your methods myself there, Max. So, that brings us to another point. How can folks out here reach you to take advantage of, some of your great content and great offers that you have available?
Yeah, so we have a lot of free stuff. Check out our videos. We put, our heart and soul into them. We know your time's valuable, and it's just, case studies of things that we're actually doing. And I have a giveaway. We created a book that I wish I had when I wrote my first book, and it's called the Real Estate Investor Book Writing Checklist, and it's for somebody who wants to maybe write a how-to book, somebody who wants to write an ebook, or just somebody who wants to improve, the messaging on their online or physical ads or on their website. And it really goes through step by step, methodically, how to, position the words and content in a way that will get you the most positive outcome. So like I said, this book wasn't there. If it was, it would have saved me probably 100 or 150 hours. So, we sell the book for $12.99, but for a limited time, if you go to dealschasingYou.com/Ross, ROSS, you can get a copy of the book for free. We're just going to put kind of a cap on the number. So just, go ahead and download a copy there. And it doesn't do anything unless you use it. But if you use it and go through it, it's not very long. I definitely believe it can, make a difference and just help put the odds in your favor when you're trying to attract whoever it is that you're trying to attract. Share your message, attract them, bring them into your program, and then keep them around for a long time, whether they're doing more private money deals with you, or they're referring you houses, or they're referring you other people they know to lend you money. Those are all of the opportunities that I've experienced and my students have experienced by kind of using this method of, communicating our real estate investing business. So I hope it helps.
That is awesome. I'll definitely be checking that out myself. I recently put out my first book over the summer, over this past summer. So, I could have used a checklist myself. So I'll be looking for that for my next book. So, man, that is great, great stuff. Now, Max, that brings us to the next part of our show, which is called the rapid fire session. And This is where I ask you a question, and you literally just give me the first answer that comes to mind.
Oh, my gosh. This is going to get crazy. Let's do it.
It's going to get wild. It's going to get wild, folks. All right.
Oh, look.
Okay. On a scale from 1 to 10, how strict were your parents?
8.
Okay. Get up early or stay up late?
Both.
How many hours of sleep do you get per night?
Somewhere between 2 and 11.
Okay.
It varies.
I was going to say, that's a wide range, my friend. Favorite or last book read?
Deep Work. Cal Newport teaches you how to concentrate. Great for my ADHD brothers and sisters out there.
Love it. Love it. If you could be any superhero, Max, who would it be?
Is Jesus a superhero? I don't want to be Jesus. That's sacrilegious. One of the apostles.
You want?
One of the apostles. I'm a good wingman. So I'd be out there. I would have done a really good job back then promoting. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Max, something everyone should do less of.
Complain. It doesn't do anything.
I agree. It doesn't
help. You're not helping. It doesn't help.
Indeed. Indeed. Something that everyone should do more of.
Be grateful.
Okay. Bitcoin, bang or bust?
I don't know enough. I'll let you decide. What do you think?
I'm thinking it's going to be a bang, just based upon how money works. It seems like that's headed that way. So for now, I'm going to say it's going to be a bang.
Seems like this online thing is kind of catching on. I'm with you on that.
Indeed.
Good choice. I'll go with that too. Thanks for helping me.
There you go. Teamwork makes the dream work, Max. Now, will people live on Mars in your lifetime?
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, guys, you've made it to the end of the show, and most people never finish what they start. So all of you guys are special. Now, if you got any value out of the show, please share it with a friend on your Facebook page, like, subscribe to our channel, and make sure you send us topics that you want to learn more about. And like I said earlier, nearly 1 million people use the Connected Investors social network and marketplace to connect. Now, in the description of this video, we've included a link to this episode's forum discussion, a link to Max's forum as well. All you have to do is tap that link, Tap the Connected Investor link, ask me and other pros questions, and see what investors are saying about this particular episode. So Max, thank you so much for being a guest on our show. I really do appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule, sharing this awesome knowledge with us. And guys, until next episode, you can catch me on the inside of Connected Investors. See you on the inside.
The Connected Investors app connects you with investors, notifies you of available properties, helps locate cash buyers, and secure private funding to close deals. Set up in seconds to become a member of the Connected Investors social network. Now you can scroll through your main feed to find cash buyers, see investment properties not available to the general public, and network with investors by adding your own comments to a thread to keep the conversation going. The Control Center is your connection to add properties to sell, start new discussions, connect with local investors, and even find private funding. The Notifications tab will keep you alerted to new investment properties and offers. You'll also find new friend requests to connect directly with the community to build your network. From the property marketplace, you'll be able to find, favorite, and make offers on investment properties. Download Connected Investors today to find, figure, fund, and flip investment properties on the go.